My name is Jennifer E. Knuckles, 28 years old, and I've been the unofficial family butler since I was basically old enough to hold a wrench. My sister Olivia is 32 and has been the golden child since the day she was born. I'm not even being dramatic here. My parents have photos of her framed in every room of the house. Me. I think there's one picture of me from high school graduation shoved in a drawer somewhere. Maybe. Growing up, the difference in treatment was so obvious that even the neighbors noticed. Olivia got piano lessons, dance classes, summer camps, and a brand new car when she turned 16. I got hand-me-down clothes from our cousin, and a lecture about responsibility when I asked if I could do soccer. Apparently, activities cost money, and money was tight. Except money was only tight when it came to me. When Olivia went to college, my parents paid for everything. Tuition, room and board, spending money, spring break trips, the works. She graduated with a degree in communications and zero debt. I went to community college and worked full-time at a warehouse to pay for it myself. It took me 6 years to finish my accounting degree because I could only take 2 classes per semester while working 50-hour weeks. My reward for graduating was a text that said, "Proud of you, champ," with a thumbs-up emoji. No party, no gift, just an emoji. But hey, at least I learned self-reliance, right? The real kicker is that Olivia never actually did anything with her degree. She worked random admin jobs for a few years, then met her husband Brad at some networking event. Brad's family has money, like serious money. His dad owns a chain of car dealerships across 3 states. So Olivia became a stay-at-home wife with a housekeeper and a personal trainer. She doesn't work, but somehow always has opinions about everyone else's work ethic. It's a special kind of irony. My parents treat Brad like the daughter they always wanted, which is hilarious because I'm literally their daughter. But sure, Brad's the favorite. He plays golf with my dad every Sunday, and my mom constantly shares his Facebook posts about entrepreneurship and success mindsets. The guy inherited a business and acts like he's Warren Buffett. Meanwhile, I work as a financial analyst at a mid-size firm. Good job, decent pay, nothing flashy, but stable and respectable. My parents have never once asked me about my work. Not even the basic, "how's the job going" conversation, but they can tell you Brad's golf handicap and his thoughts on the current market trends. About 3 years ago, my parents bought Olivia and Brad a house as a wedding present. A whole actual house, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms in a nice suburban neighborhood with good schools for the kids. Market value around $450,000. My dad said it was an investment in their future. When I asked if they'd help me with a down payment on a condo, my dad literally laughed and said I needed to learn to manage my money better. This is the same man who just dropped $500,000 on his daughter's house. The math wasn't matching. So yeah, I stopped asking for anything a long time ago. I handled my own life, got my own apartment, furnished it myself, built my career, did the adult thing without any help. I wasn't bitter about it. Okay, maybe I was a little bitter, but I just accepted that this was how things were in our family. I was the backup child, the spare, the one who existed in case Olivia needed something. And oh boy, did Olivia need things constantly. Her car breaks down, call me. Her internet isn't working, call me. She needs furniture moved, call me. Brad's out of town and she's scared of a weird noise in the house. Call me at 11 p.m. I'm the on-call handyman, IT support, and emotional support animal, all rolled into one convenient sister-shaped package. The messed up part is I usually showed up, not because I enjoyed being used, but because I kept thinking maybe this time they'd appreciate it. Maybe this time they'd actually say thank you and mean it. Maybe this time I'd feel like I was actually part of the family instead of the hired help. Spoiler alert, that never happened. Every favor I did was either treated like it was expected or like I'd barely done anything at all. I spent 6 hours helping them move into their new house carrying boxes in August heat. My dad handed me a $20 bill at the end and said, "Good hustle today," like I was part of the moving crew they'd hired. Olivia didn't even say thanks. She was too busy directing Brad on where to hang their wedding photos. Last year my car died. Not broke down, not needed repairs, fully died. Engine seized up, transmission shot, the whole thing was beyond repair. The mechanic took one look and basically said I should donate it for scrap. I needed a car for work since I have to drive to client meetings, and I didn't have enough saved for a decent down payment after helping my parents pay for their new roof a few months earlier. Yeah, you read that right. I helped pay for their roof because they didn't have the liquid cash available, and it was an emergency. I gave them $3,000 from my savings. Still haven't been paid back, but who's counting? So when my car died, I asked my parents if they could help me with a loan. Not a gift, a loan. I offered to pay them back with interest. My dad said they couldn't help because they were financially stretched after buying Olivia's house and helping Brad's dad with some business expansion. The same dad who drops $200 on golf games every weekend somehow couldn't help his daughter buy reliable transportation for work. I ended up taking out a high-interest loan from a credit union and buying a used sedan that was decent enough. It wasn't fun making those payments, but I handled it because that's what I do. I handle things. The family dinners were always the worst. My parents insisted on Sunday dinners at their place every week. It was supposedly about family bonding, but really it was just an opportunity for everyone to talk about how amazing Olivia and Brad's life was, while I sat there like a potted plant. They'd go on and on about Brad's latest business deal, or Olivia's new Pilates studio membership, or their upcoming trip to Cabo. Meanwhile, if I tried to mention anything about my life, the conversation would last about 30 seconds before someone redirected it back to the golden couple. I mentioned I got a promotion to senior analyst last year, a pretty big deal with a significant raise. My mom said, "That's nice, dear," and then immediately asked Olivia about her plans for redecorating their living room. I could have announced I was moving to Mars and gotten the same level of interest. But I kept showing up to these dinners because I'm apparently a glutton for punishment. Or maybe I just kept hoping something would change, that they'd wake up one day and realize they had 2 kids, not just one. Around 6 months ago, things started getting worse. Olivia got pregnant finally after years of trying, and suddenly she became even more untouchable than before. Every conversation was about the baby, her pregnancy symptoms, the nursery design, baby names, strollers, cribs. Don't get me wrong, I was happy for her. Being an aunt seemed cool, but the obsession level was intense. My mom basically moved into Olivia's house to help her. She'd go over there every single day, meal prep for her, clean, do laundry, whatever Olivia needed. My dad would drop everything to run errands for them. I'm talking like Olivia would text my dad asking for a specific type of pickle from a store 40 minutes away, and he'd drop what he was doing and go get it. Meanwhile, I threw my back out moving office furniture at work and couldn't walk without pain for a week. I called my mom to ask if she could grab me some groceries since I literally couldn't drive. She said she was busy helping Olivia organize the nursery and suggested I use Instacart. Cool, got it. Message received loud and clear. The pregnancy made Olivia even more demanding than usual. She'd call me for random stuff constantly. Come fix her garbage disposal. Come hang curtain rods. Come move bags of mulch for her garden because Brad was at a golf tournament and she needed it done right now. The word pregnant became her magic card to play whenever she wanted something done immediately. And I did it all, every single time, like an absolute chump. 3 months ago, my parents announced they were paying for a family vacation to Florida. They had rented a huge beach house in Destin for a full week. It was meant to be a baby moon for Olivia before the baby came. The whole family was going. My parents, Olivia, Brad, Brad's parents, even Brad's sister and her family. When they told me about it at Sunday dinner, I assumed I was invited. I mean, they said family vacation, and I'm technically family, right? Wrong. My mom was going through the details of who was sleeping where, and I realized she never mentioned a room for me. So I asked, trying to keep it casual, "Which room am I in?" The table went quiet, dead silent. Everyone just kind of looked at each other with those awkward expressions people get when someone accidentally says the thing everyone else was trying not to acknowledge. Finally, my dad cleared his throat. "Well, Jen, this is really more of a trip for Olivia's immediate family circle. The beach house only has so many rooms, and with Brad's family coming, it's already pretty tight on space." I just sat there processing the words. They were calling it a family vacation, but I wasn't included in the family. Brad's sister's kids were invited, but not me. Brad's parents were invited, but not their own daughter. "Right," I said finally. "Makes sense." My mom jumped in with that fake sympathetic voice she uses when she thinks she's being kind. "You understand, honey. Olivia needs to be around her support system right now. And you're so busy with work anyway. We didn't think you'd even want to take the time off." They didn't ask if I wanted to take time off. They just decided for me. Or more accurately, they decided they didn't want me there. Olivia hadn't said anything during this whole exchange. She was just pushing pasta around her plate, not making eye contact. Brad was scrolling on his phone like this was the most boring conversation ever. Neither of them suggested maybe they could make room. "Yeah, no problem," I said. "I've got projects at work anyway." We finished dinner pretending that incredibly awkward conversation hadn't just happened. I helped clear the table like always. loaded the dishwasher like always, drove home wondering why I kept putting myself through this. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part came 2 weeks later. It was another Sunday dinner, and they were going through final preparations for the Florida trip, which was happening the following week. My mom was making packing lists. My dad was talking about which restaurants they'd already made reservations at. Olivia was complaining about whether the beach house had enough outlets for all her pregnancy gadgets. I was sitting there quietly eating pot roast, trying to tune it all out. Then Olivia looked at me and said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to need you to house sit while we're gone." Not asking, telling. "You want me to house sit your place?" I asked. "Both places," she said, like it was obvious. "Mom and Dad's house and ours. We need someone to water plants, get the mail, make sure nothing looks vacant. You know, basic stuff." "Can't you hire a house sitter?" Olivia rolled her eyes. "Why would we pay someone when you're going to be here anyway? Plus, we trust you. It's family helping family." There it was. Family helping family. The phrase that had been weaponized against me my entire life. They weren't family when it came to including me on their vacation, but suddenly we're family again when they need free labor. Something inside me finally snapped. "No," I said. Everyone stopped eating and looked at me. "What do you mean, no?" Olivia asked, like I'd just spoken a foreign language. "I mean, no, I'm not house-sitting for you." My dad slowly set down his fork. "Jennifer, your sister needs help. She's pregnant. This is important." "Then hire a house sitter," I repeated. "I'm sure there are plenty of services that do this professionally." Olivia's face turned red. Brad finally looked up from his phone. "Seriously, Jen, what's your problem?" "It's just checking on some houses." "My problem," I said calmly, "is that I'm good enough to be family when you need something from me, but I'm not good enough to be family when you're planning vacations." My mom gasped. "That's not fair." "Not enough room for me, but enough room for Brad's sister's kids who Olivia barely talks to," I said. "Got it." Olivia stood up so quickly her chair scraped loudly across the floor. "Are you really going to make my pregnancy about you? Are you that selfish?" "I'm the selfish one," I asked quietly. "You know what your problem is," Olivia said, her voice rising. "You're jealous. You've always been jealous of me. Of my life, my marriage, everything. You can't stand that I'm happy." "I'm not jealous of you," I said. "I'm just tired of being treated like the help." "The help," she scoffed. "Are you kidding me right now? We include you in everything." "You include me when it's convenient for you, when something needs fixing or moving. But when it comes to actually being part of this family, I'm just an afterthought." My dad slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough. You're being disrespectful." "I'm being disrespectful. I've spent my entire adult life showing up for all of you. I helped pay for your roof. I help Olivia with everything she asks. I come to these dinners every week, even though nobody cares about anything I say." "It wasn't personal," my mom said weakly. "It's always personal, Mom." Olivia crossed her arms. "If you're so miserable being part of this family, maybe you should just leave then." The room went completely silent. "What did you just say?" I asked. "You heard me," she said coldly. "If being around us is such a burden, maybe you just don't belong here. Maybe you don't belong in this family at all." I looked at my parents, waiting for them to say she'd gone too far, waiting for literally anything. My dad stared at his plate. My mom said nothing. That was my answer. "So that's it," I said finally. "You guys agree with her." My dad shifted in his chair like he was uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to actually do anything about it. "Nobody's saying you don't belong," he said slowly. "But you need to understand, Olivia's going through a lot right now. Maybe you could be more supportive instead of making everything difficult." There it was. Even when Olivia basically told me to get lost, somehow it was still my fault for not being supportive enough. "Understood," I said, standing up. I grabbed my keys from the counter. "Thanks for clearing that up." Nobody tried to stop me. Nobody followed me outside. I walked out the front door, got into my car, and sat there in their driveway for a full 5 minutes. Part of me kept expecting someone to come running out. My mom, maybe, or even my dad. Just to say, "Wait, that went too far. Come back inside." But the front door never opened, so I started the engine and drove home. I sat on my couch staring at the wall for a long time that night, replaying the dinner conversation over and over in my head. Olivia saying I didn't belong, my parents sitting there silently, my dad basically telling me I should be more supportive. After 28 years of being the family workhorse, I'd finally been told exactly where I stood. You don't belong. Fine. If that's what they wanted, I would give it to them. The next week I made plans. I'd already been thinking about moving somewhere closer to work anyway. My commute was annoying, and my apartment complex had been raising rent every year, so I started looking seriously. Within 3 days, I found a place I liked. A quiet 2-bedroom apartment, about 45 minutes away in a different part of town. Nothing fancy, but clean, safe, and far enough away that nobody would casually drop by. I signed the lease that Friday, paid the deposit, scheduled the move for the following week. Then I opened my phone and started blocking numbers. My parents, Olivia, Brad, even a few extended family members who might try to play messenger. Blocked on my phone, blocked on social media, blocked everywhere. Then I went one step further. I changed my number entirely. The Sunday before their Florida trip, they probably expected me at dinner like usual. I didn't show up. I was too busy packing boxes. By Tuesday, everything was moved into the new apartment. I cleaned my old place, returned the keys to the rental office, and left without telling anyone where I'd gone. No dramatic goodbye. No long message explaining my feelings. I just quietly removed myself from their lives. Exactly like Olivia suggested. They left for Florida that Thursday. By the time they were landing in Destin, I was sitting in my new living room surrounded by unpacked boxes and something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. For the first time in my adult life, my phone wasn't ringing with random requests. Nobody was asking me to fix something or move something or solve some last-minute crisis. There were no Sunday dinner obligations. No guilt trips. Just quiet. That week was honestly one of the best weeks I'd had in years. I slept better. I relaxed. I started going to a coffee shop near my new place in the mornings before work. No stress. No drama. 5 days into their vacation, I was sitting at that coffee shop reading a book when someone tapped me on the shoulder. It was Jackson, my old neighbor from my previous apartment complex. "Hey, Jen," he said. "Someone's been looking for you." That made me raise an eyebrow. "Who?" "Your sister," he said. "She came by yesterday. Knocked on your door for like 20 minutes. Looked pretty upset." I blinked. "Really?" "Yeah, she left a note on your door about a family emergency and needing you to call her ASAP." I took a sip of my coffee. "Huh, weird." Jackson gave me a curious look. "You gonna call her?" "Nah," I said calmly. "I'm good." He shrugged like it wasn't his business. We talked for a few minutes about how I'd moved and how work was going. Then he left. A family emergency. Interesting. That night, curiosity got the better of me, so I checked my old voicemail inbox. I had forwarded it to my email before disconnecting the number. Sure enough, there were messages. 15 missed calls. 6 voicemails. The first one was Olivia. "Hey, it's me. Listen, we have a situation down here and we really need your help. Can you call me back ASAP? It's important." The second one sounded more irritated. "I don't know why you're not answering, but this is serious. We need you to do something for us. Call me back right now." The third message, her voice sounded frantic. "Where are you? I've been calling for hours. Mom and Dad are freaking out. We need you to go to our house and take care of something. This is an emergency." The fourth voicemail was pure anger. "I swear if you're ignoring us because you're still mad about dinner, this is really immature. We have a major problem, and you're the only one who can help." The fifth one sounded desperate. "Fine, I get it. You're upset. But can you please just help us this one time? Please, just call me back." The sixth voicemail was Brad. "Hey, Jen, it's Brad. Look, I know things got heated at dinner, but we really need you right now. Something happened with the house, and Olivia's losing her mind. Can you call us back, please?" I listened to all of them twice. Then I deleted them. I went to bed that night feeling strangely calm. A year earlier, those messages would have sent me into panic mode. I would have jumped in my car, driven across town, fixed whatever crisis they were dealing with, and spent the rest of the night being treated like a convenient repair service. But that version of me didn't exist anymore. They had made it clear I didn't belong in their family, so their family emergency wasn't my responsibility. The next day, I decided to reach out to someone I hadn't talked to in a long time, my cousin Trevor. He lives a few states away, but when we were kids, we used to get along really well before life and distance pulled everyone apart. I called him, and we ended up talking for almost 2 hours. I told him everything. The dinner argument, Olivia telling me I didn't belong, the Florida trip, the house-sitting demand, the move, the blocked numbers. Trevor didn't sound surprised. "Honestly," he said, "I've been watching them treat you like garbage for years." That caught me off guard. "You have?" "Yeah, I stopped coming to family events as much because it drove me crazy. Your sister has always been spoiled and your parents just enabled it." "Why didn't you say something?" He laughed softly. "Would you have listened? You kept showing up for them over and over. I figured eventually you'd figure it out on your own." He wasn't wrong. For years I'd been making excuses for their behavior because I wanted to believe they cared about me. Trevor and I made plans to meet up in a few weeks. It was strange realizing I had family who actually liked me. I'd just been too busy chasing approval from the wrong people to notice. Monday afternoon at work, my assistant knocked on the conference room door while I was in a meeting. "Jennifer, you have an urgent call on the office line." That immediately made my stomach sink. I stepped out into the hallway and picked up the phone. It was my mom. "Jennifer, thank God," she said immediately. "We've been trying to reach you for days. Why aren't you answering your phone?" "I changed my number," I said. "You what? Why would you do that?" "Seemed like the right move." There was a pause. "What do you want, Mom?" "We need you to go to Olivia's house right now," she said quickly. "What?" "A pipe burst in their basement while we've been gone, and there's water everywhere. The house is flooding. You need to go turn off the water and call a plumber." I leaned against the wall and looked down the empty hallway. "That sounds like a problem." "It is a huge problem," she said. "That's why we need you to go handle it immediately." "Have you tried calling a plumber?" "What?" "Or maybe a property management service. I'm pretty sure there are emergency plumbing companies that deal with this exact situation." There was a stunned silence. "Why would we call strangers when you can just go handle it? You know the house. You know where everything is." "Actually, Mom," I said calmly, "I can't help you with this." Another long silence. "What do you mean you can't help us?" "I mean I can't. I'm at work. I live 45 minutes away now. And honestly, it's not my problem." "Not your problem. This is your sister's house. She's pregnant. Do you have any idea how stressed she is right now?" "Then maybe Brad should have stayed home instead of going on vacation," I said. "Or maybe you guys should have hired a house sitter like I suggested." "You're seriously going to let your sister's house flood because you're still mad about that dinner?" "I'm not mad about anything," I said. "I'm just not available to help." "You're being childish." "I'm being consistent. You guys made it very clear I'm not part of this family. So family emergencies aren't my responsibility anymore." "That's not what anyone said." "That's exactly what Olivia said," I replied, "and you and Dad agreed with her." She didn't respond. "I've got to get back to work," I said. "Good luck with the flooding." Then I hung up. My hands were shaking slightly, not from fear, but from the adrenaline of doing something I'd never done before. Standing up for myself. The calls didn't stop. My assistant came back twice to tell me my mom had called again. Then Olivia tried, then Brad. I had her tell them I was unavailable. By the end of the day, my assistant looked concerned. "Everything okay? Your mom sounds pretty upset." "Family drama," I said. "Nothing serious." I had no intention of calling them back. That evening, my dad sent me an email. The subject line read, "Urgent call us." The message itself was a long rant about how disappointed he was in me, about how family was supposed to be there for each other, about how Olivia was crying nonstop because her house was ruined. Not once in the entire email did he acknowledge what happened at that dinner. Not once did he apologize. It was all about how I was failing them. I marked the email as spam and moved on with my night. The thing about cutting toxic people out of your life is that there's this strange mourning period that nobody really talks about. Not mourning the people themselves, but mourning the version of them you always hoped they could be. For the first few weeks after I moved, I realized that's what I was grieving. The imaginary family I kept thinking would eventually appreciate me. The version of my parents who would one day notice the difference in how they treated their daughters. The sister who might someday say thank you instead of calling when she needed something fixed. But that family never actually existed. I had spent 28 years chasing a fantasy. By Tuesday, the calls from Florida stopped. I assumed they'd solved their flooding problem somehow. Maybe they hired a plumber like I suggested. Maybe Brad's family stepped in. Maybe they flew home early. I didn't know, and I honestly didn't care enough to find out. Wednesday night, I was at the gym when I saw a missed call from an unknown number. There was a voicemail. It was Brad. "Hey, Jennifer," he said, sounding oddly hesitant. "Look, I know things got heated at that dinner, but we really needed you this week. The house thing was bad. Like, really bad. There's about $30,000 in water damage in the basement." He paused. "But honestly, that's not even what Olivia's upset about. She feels really guilty about what she said to you. My mom actually called her out on it when she heard the story. Said she was completely out of line." I kept listening. "She's pregnant and emotional," Brad continued. "She said some things she didn't mean. We all miss having you around. Maybe give her a chance to apologize." I listened to the message twice. Brad sounded more genuine than anyone else had so far. Almost. But there was one phrase that stuck in my head. "She didn't mean it." That's the classic setup for a non-apology. She didn't mean it. She was emotional. She was pregnant. There's always an excuse ready to soften the blow of someone else's behavior. Nobody ever stops to consider the possibility that maybe she did mean it. That maybe those words came from years of thinking I didn't matter. More importantly, nobody ever addressed the bigger issue. My parents had sat there silently and let it happen. One voicemail from Brad saying Olivia felt guilty wasn't enough to erase 28 years of being second place. I deleted the message. Over the next few weeks, I settled into a new routine. I started going to a gym near my apartment after work. I found a small bar that hosted trivia nights on Thursdays and started going with a couple coworkers. I made friends with my neighbors. Little things. But they added up to something huge. Peace. My stress levels dropped noticeably. I wasn't constantly waiting for the next text from Olivia asking me to fix something. I wasn't bracing myself for passive-aggressive comments at Sunday dinners. I could just exist. About 6 weeks after I moved, I came home from work and found an envelope taped to my apartment door. No return address. Just my name written in my mom's handwriting. Inside was one of those generic grocery store greeting cards that says, "Thinking of you" on the front. The message inside was written by my mom. "We know you're upset with us, and we want to make things right. Olivia is very sorry about what she said. We're all sorry. You're our daughter and our sister, and we love you. Please call us so we can talk. We miss you." Underneath that, Olivia had written one short sentence. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please come back." I read the card 3 times. I kept looking for something that acknowledged what had actually happened. Something about the years of unequal treatment. Something about how they had let Olivia tell me I didn't belong. But there was nothing. Just vague apologies and "we miss you." And that's when it hit me. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did for them. They missed having someone to fix things and solve problems and show up whenever they snapped their fingers. I dropped the card into the recycling bin on my way back inside. That weekend, I made a series of small but important changes. I updated my emergency contacts at work and with my bank. Removed my parents. Removed Olivia. Added Trevor and 2 close friends instead. Then I updated my beneficiary information on my accounts. I checked my apartment lease to make sure none of my family members were listed as emergency contacts. I was erasing them from the practical parts of my life, one form at a time. About 3 months after I left, Trevor called me with some news. "Olivia had the baby," he said. "A girl," I replied. "Yeah, Charlotte." Apparently my parents were thrilled to be grandparents. Brad's family threw a huge celebration. Olivia posted dozens of photos online. And according to Trevor, they were telling everyone the same story. That I refused to meet my niece because I was holding a grudge. Let them. Anyone who actually knows me understands that story isn't complete. And anyone who believes it without asking questions doesn't matter. I ordered a baby gift online and had it shipped directly to their house. A nice one. Neutral. With a short card that said "Congratulations and wishing your family the best." No return address. No phone number. Just acknowledgement that a baby existed and deserved kindness, even if I wanted nothing to do with her parents. Because here's the truth. I didn't hate them. I wasn't even angry anymore. I just didn't want them in my life. And that's a very different thing. About 4 months after I moved out, something unexpected happened. I started dating someone. Her name was Lauren, and she worked in another department at the firm. We'd known each other casually for a while through office events, but we started talking more after I moved. One night, a group of us went to a trivia bar near the office, and somehow Lauren and I ended up talking long after everyone else had left. She eventually asked about my family. I gave her the short version. "We're not in contact right now. It's complicated, but it was necessary." Lauren didn't push for details, which I appreciated more than she probably realized. Instead, she told me about her own family situation, which involved a very dramatic aunt and a brother who hadn't spoken to their parents in years. Turns out, family dysfunction is a pretty universal language. "You seem really calm about it," she said one night over dinner. "I am now," I said. "It took a while to get here, but yeah, I'm good." And I meant it. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't constantly bracing myself for the next criticism or demand. I wasn't measuring my value based on whether my family approved of me. I was just living, working, building relationships with people who actually saw me as a person instead of a resource. 6 months after I left, something interesting happened. I got a Facebook message from Brad. Apparently, I'd forgotten to block him on that platform. "Hey, Jennifer," the message started. "I know you probably won't read this, but I wanted you to know something. We had a family gathering last week and some stuff came up." I kept reading. "My mom asked where you were, and when Olivia explained everything, she basically tore into all of them. Said she couldn't believe how they treated you for years. Called out the vacation thing, the dinner argument, everything." Brad wrote that the entire room had gone quiet. Olivia cried. My mom got defensive. My dad didn't say anything. "It was really uncomfortable," Brad admitted. "But honestly, someone needed to say it. I should have spoken up earlier. You deserved better." I stared at the message for a long time, Part of me appreciated that someone had finally said something. But the key word in that sentence was finally. It had taken an outsider, Brad's mother, to point out what should have been obvious to my own parents. And it had taken 6 months. By then, the damage was already done. I didn't respond. I left the message on read and went about my day. Now it's been almost a year since that dinner. My new life is fully established. I've got a good circle of friends. I'm up for another promotion at work. Lauren and I are still seeing each other, and things are going well. More importantly, I'm genuinely happy. Not pretending to be happy. Not things could be worse happy. Actually happy. And the funny thing is, I never got closure from my family. No heartfelt apology. No dramatic realization that they'd treated me badly. Just silence and the occasional message that I ignore. But I realized something important along the way. Closure doesn't always come from the people who hurt you. Sometimes closure comes from building a life where their approval isn't required anymore. My parents still tell people I abandoned them. Olivia still complains to relatives that I refuse to meet her daughter. That's their version of the story. Mine is simpler. My sister told me I didn't belong in the family. My parents didn't disagree, so I believed them. And I built a life somewhere else.